It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Tennessee assistant softball coach, Megan Rhodes Smith. How are you doing today?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
Can you talk about your coaching experience and how you got started in college softball?
Yes. I finished my playing career. I finished my master's at Tennessee in sports psychology, and my husband and I got married, and I really had no idea what to do with my life. I had actually envisioned becoming a sports psychologist, and we moved to kind of a rural area in Georgia, and so I had no contacts, nobody that I knew, and really didn't see a way to create a future at that time in sports psychology in this place. And so my husband was like, you need to coach. You need to try this out. And so we started looking around, and Charleston Southern wasn't too far away. And so I was able to interview with Shane Winkler, and luckily he offered me the job. And so I started coaching at Charleston Southern, and we did a little bit of back and forth with some travel for that year. And my husband and I just decided, let's make this work and see what happens. And I ended up falling in love with the profession. And I think the fun thing is that I get to use my degree every single day. So in a sense, I get to be a sports psychologist, but I also get to stay in the game and be a softball coach as well.
That's wonderful. Can you talk about your time at Belmont?
Yes. So Belmont was this past year, and uh, our season was cut short because of the coronavirus, just like every other spring sport. And that was incredibly challenging. But the year in itself, that was the first year that I got the chance to become a head coach. And the entire year was challenging and fun in and of itself. I loved my staff. I loved the girls on the team. I loved the admin. I love Nashville. That's where I grew up. So uh, it was an easy transition there, and it was something that we were really intent on building. Um, and then, the coronavirus hits right in the middle of season, and that's when I realized it was really hard to be a leader in this time, because you're making decisions on situations that are completely unprecedented, and it's hard to call someone up and get advice on what to do in that scenario, because nobody's been through it before. And so I gained a lot of respect for all of the coaches that I had before, that I had never truly appreciated what their job was, but then also got the chance to grow into that role in a very hard time. And I think that's really benefited me as I've stepped back into becoming an assistant again. I think I'm a better assistant for my head coaches here, because I know what it's like to sit in their seat and to have to make the decisions they do, and the support that they need from the people who sit in my seat.
That's amazing. What was your time like at Lipscomb?
Lipscomb, I spent about 6 years at Lipscomb. I cherished those years a lot. We had the same staff for all 6 years, and I think that that's really special. And I didn't realize that at the time, because I had the same college coaches all 4 years, and I just didn't really realize how much movement can happen a lot of the time, and what it does for a program when you have that stability. I think we got to see firsthand, and it was just awesome building those relationships and getting to recruit kids that then they come in and you actually get to coach them. And see them through that entire process, and then to stay close with them after they graduate. It was a great place. Both of my daughters were born while I was at Lipscomb, and that was incredible as well, because the girls on the team completely embraced having team babies. And so I really felt like I got to really raise my family in that environment. And the people there are so good and so gracious and loving. And so it's definitely a special time for me.
Can you talk about your time at Charleston Southern?
Yes, Charleston Southern was my first job. And so I was right out of college, and I think all the things that you would expect of a first year coach happened. I did some dumb things. I learned a lot, and my head coach Shane Winkler was incredible about allowing me to learn and allowing me to coach in my style and to develop that style, but also in kind of providing me the parameters of what his program was about, and asking me to make sure that I stayed within those bounds. I think one of the hardest things being young is realizing that just because your college coaches did it one way does not mean it is the way. And that was a bit eye-opening for me to realize there's lots of ways to coach, and suddenly realize I need to go figure out what I think, and not just do what I had seen, but do what I believe, and to dive a little bit deeper into that. And I think that was the perfect opportunity and the perfect head coach to allow me to really grow into that.
Can you talk about what you accomplished at Middle Tennessee State?
Yes. Middle Tennessee, I was there for 2 years. Again, loved the staff that we were a part of. At the time, we were trying to move an unsuccessful team and build into that. And I think the biggest thing that happened for me was I had to ask myself, why do I coach? And so when I look back on that time, even though when you say accomplished, I don't know that we really accomplished very much. Other than that, we coached, and we loved those girls. And I myself had to start asking myself, why am I coaching? Is it for me, or is it about the girls on the team? Is it about who they can become and their careers? And am I making a difference in their lives? And what's this really about? And so that's the biggest thing that came out of that time, was being able to dive deeper into that. And the people I was around were people that I could do that with, and could really provide a great example. The two women that I coached with were just incredible women. They still are incredible women. And so I'm really thankful that I got to be with them.
What was your time like at Western Kentucky?
Amazing. I got to work under Tyra Perry, and she's incredible. I got to work with one of my good friends, Kieran Kumar. Tyra is now the head coach at Illinois, and Kieran is now the head coach at Miami, Ohio. And so none of that is surprising, because the second I started working with them, I realized what amazing coaches and people they were. And so for me, I got to step right into the middle of something they were building, and that Tyra had been building since she got there. And the second that I stepped onto the staff, she said, this team can win a conference championship. We need to go to regionals. They're completely capable of that, and I need you to help me get there. And that was so much fun. It was so much fun to be on a staff where what we did was dream of ways to make the team better, and how can we help these kids take the next step? And so the entire year was incredibly fun and rewarding. We ended up winning the regular season. We went to regionals. The fun story for me there is that I got pregnant in the middle of the year, and we were so excited when we were sent to Tuscaloosa for regionals, because we felt like I would be able to travel. And then I went to my doctor's appointment a couple days later, and they said, you can't travel. You need to stay near a hospital. I think you're too close to having your baby. So that was heartbreaking to watch the team have to, or get to play without me. I had to stay home and just watch on TV, and they did incredible. We were lucky that we had one of our catchers on the team has just a great mind for pitch calling. And I just told her, you're going to be great at this. Let's talk before and after every game, but you know what to do. You know these pitchers, just play the game. And after the game, I said there was maybe one call that each game that I thought, I probably wouldn't have done that, but it didn't make a difference in the game. She did an incredible job. So that was hard, but it was also, in hindsight, it's fun. It's a fun story to tell, but I have just nothing but great memories of that year.
Can you talk about your playing experience at the Lady Volunteers?
Yes. I would say one of the best things I've ever done, one of the most challenging things I've ever done. College softball is hard no matter what. Ralph and Karen Weekly, they're tough. And so I had to learn not only how to be tougher, but then also how to adjust to this game, because the college game is faster. It's more difficult. You know, you're facing all of the best players on all the travel teams that you used to face. They're all together on one team now, and everybody's team is like that. So I grew a lot with that. I think that's where I really started to learn to love a challenge and to see the value in challenges. And for myself, I got to pitch alongside Monica Abbott. And so playing with her, not only did I get to see somebody do something at a really high level, but I got to, I had the challenge myself of having to ask myself, if I can't beat her out, which I couldn't, it became very apparent that I was pitching next to one of the best in the nation. And so I got the opportunity to say, is it about me or is it about the team? And then to continue to choose, it's about the team. I'm just going to be the best I can be. It's not about whether I'm the number one. When I get the ball, I'm just going to be ready and do the best I can for my people here. And, I think that's a hard decision, but it's a good decision. And I feel really blessed that I had the opportunity to make that. And then to wake up every morning and make that decision again, rather than to say, I'm not getting what I want, I'm out of here, but to say, it's about us. Let's see what we can do with it. And ultimately, we were able to get to that national championship series for the first time in Tennessee softball history. And I believe we were the first SEC team to be in the championship series. And while we ultimately didn't win the game, it was an incredible journey with some people that I still love very much to this day.
Can you talk about, of course, coming back to your alma mater to coach it?
Yes, there's nothing like it. The love that you gain for your program, the pride that you gain, what you put into it, getting to come back and see that tradition is still carried forward and is still alive and thriving is incredible. It's incredible to be part of giving back to something that gave so much to me, and to say, hey, there's another generation of Lady Vols that I want them to know how important their work is and how valuable this time is in becoming great women and great professionals and great softball players and great teammates, great people. So there's nothing like it. I'm excited every day to come to work.
Can you talk about the recruitment process and what you look for in young athletes?
Yes. Obviously we look for talent. We look for high level players who can help us win a national championship. That's the ultimate goal. So when you step outside of kind of the obvious, we're definitely looking for those intangibles. Are you a good teammate? Are you a winner? What do you do when the pressure's on? And what's your attitude like? How are you treating the people around you? How do you treat your parents? How do your parents treat you? Because there's definitely that scenario where if somebody is babied their whole life, it's going to be a hard transition into the SEC and into this program, because you need to step in and be an adult now, and we expect you to handle your business and to be able to handle the truth, and while it's not completely a business, it's we expect some professionalism about what we do. And So there's just kind of this mixture of qualities that we're looking for. Definitely want someone who cares about their academics and who does dream big and wants to do big things, because this is a place where you have all the resources possible to become your very best. And we want people who are excited about that and want to come in and take advantage and continue building something great.
Can you talk about, of course, coaching in the SEC, where you do have some top schools like Alabama, Florida, and Georgia?
Yeah, honestly, I can't give too much experience there because this is my first season. And so that's honestly something I'm really looking forward to. I've played against those teams, coached against those teams I've played here and then coached against them at other schools. And so I'm very much looking forward to the challenge of day in and day out in the conference being against some of the best in the nation. And it's even more exciting to do that in a place like Tennessee, where with the resources we have with film, with our video coordinator, just with our incredible staff, with our managers, with this team that they don't back down from a challenge. So while I can't speak to the experience, it's definitely something that we're excited about.
Can you talk about, of course, helping building the softball program and what that has been like?
The softball program here.
Mm-hmm.
So as a player, I was a freshman in the spring of 2005, and that was the first year we went to the College World Series. And so I feel like I have this strange perspective because the year before, I think the team had kind of a heartbreaking loss in postseason and didn't make it. And so that was something that was really driving all of the returners, was how much they wanted to get to the World Series, and they knew they were capable, and that's what we were all about. And so our freshman class stepped in, and we were completely on board with that and wanted to figure out what our piece of the puzzle was and how we could push the team forward. So it was incredible to go and to be part of the team that goes for the first time. And I still remember we beat Stanford in the super regionals on their field. So we were definitely the underdog. No one really expected us to come out on top. And we win this game, and we're standing in the outfield and we're dancing around, we're so excited. And Ralph Weekly comes out and he's like, guys, we need to act like we've been here before. And everybody looked at him and said, but we haven't been here before. And so, we just carried on celebrating, and he laughed at us. And it was completely from a place of wanting to honor the other team and who they were and not show anyone up. But we were like, we're going to celebrate right now because this is a big deal. And then just to see how going to the World Series transformed from something that was this one-time great experience, it became, this is what we expect. We're not going to accept any less than that. And so for the next 2 years, that's what we did. And then my senior year, I think we were all trying to figure out, what does it look like to do that without the best pitcher in the nation, to be a little bit more balanced as a team. And we had definitely been reliant on what was happening in the circle and all the strikeouts that were coming. And so trying to hold on to that same standard, but allowing it to grow with our personnel. It was really neat to see the transition, and how a couple years later, they were right back in there. And that next group of girls that came in wanted to repeat. They wanted to be the first Tennessee team to win the national championship. And I think that's continued to carry over into this team. They want to be the first Tennessee team to win a national championship. And I think it's really special when you let that drive you. One of the things I remember reading in one of Pat Summitt's books, that you always shoot for the top, because if you fall short, you're not going to fall too far, that you're still going to have reached some greatness. But if you just kind of generally shoot for, let's be good this year, you don't know what you're going to end up with. And so we're continuing to push the narrative, like, let's be the very best and let's see what happens.
That's amazing. Can you talk about the official visit and for softball, what that looks like?
Yeah, so the official visit, sadly, we didn't have any this year because all the campuses are closed and we're in a dead period right now. So official visits, it used to be something that you could wait until your senior year. You would get all your letters, get your phone calls, you go out and you take your 5 visits and you make a decision. Now we're in a situation where you can do so sooner, but people are typically making a decision in their junior year. And the rules of that we shifted to where we were making decisions far too young. And now we've shifted back to junior year. And so what's pretty typical is you wait and use your official visit your senior year with the entire class that's committed. And you come on campus, you spend time together. Here you would get to go to a football game. We get to watch the Vol walk and do some of those special traditions that are part of Tennessee, and then just spend time together and kind of understand this group of people is going to come in together next year. What does that mean? How can we prepare them for what's about to happen? And I think that's really neat. So while, I loved that I got to be 18 when I got to make my decision, I do think it's neat that the way that recruiting works and cell phones and social media, that it's so much easier for the incoming class to reach out and get to know each other before they arrive on campus. And so they're already starting to build that camaraderie and that chemistry together. And I think that feeds into what happens when they arrive freshman year.
Speaking about, of course, back whenever you were recruited, did they, on official visits, did you get to try on jerseys like they do now?
That was kind of a while ago. There was a lot more that was permissible back then. So actually, yes, I do have a picture now that you say that of me wearing a jersey. But I could stand on the field and they could play some sort of like radio broadcast that somebody had created. Like there were things that were permissible back then that just aren't anymore. So I remember getting to stand on the field and hear that and think, whoa, this is really cool. I could be standing here accomplishing this next year. So that's a neat recruiting tool that's, kind of fallen by the wayside, but you can definitely, I think you can try on jerseys, but there's a lot of parameters as to what's okay and what you can photograph, and yeah, so much that sometimes it's hard to keep up.
What advice would you give upcoming high school softball players looking to play in college?
I think number one, you have to ask yourself, like, do I love doing this, or am I just doing this for a scholarship? And I think if you can answer that you love softball, then take the next step, because this is so hard. It doesn't matter what school you go to. It's more than what you're used to. You have team practice often. It's not just, some travel teams they can't even practice together. They show up on the weekends and play. Some kids don't even play with their high school team, whether the team's not good or they don't have a team. So it's a hard transition already, just the amount of work you're doing. And it's a lifestyle. Like if you love softball, you will love this. If you don't, then this will feel a little bit like torture and like somebody owns you. And, why do I have to get up and work again today? Can I just have a break? And it's not that breaks aren't important, but we're working for championships and we're working to really master our craft. And I don't think you can do that if you don't love it. I think my next advice would be that you've got to seek out people who can help you. And I don't mean coach hop. I just mean there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of great advice. And I think a lot of times we ingest it. But can we take that to heart? Can you really create some good disciplines for yourself? Are you actually working hard, or do you just think you're working hard? So I think that next advice is just make yourself the best that you can be and seek out people who are going to help you along that road. Because if this is what you want, you put all your energy into it, I think good things happen. And there's D3, NAI, D2, D1. There are a lot of opportunities to play college softball, JUCO. It's out there. If you want it, you've got to go get it. I think sitting and waiting for someone to find you or hoping you're good enough, make sure you're good enough. Go let people know what you want. Go chase your dream.
That's wonderful advice. What advice would you give upcoming coaches looking to get into college softball?
Network. And that, I can be a bit shy. I've definitely worked on that as a coach because shyness is not a great quality as a coach. You have to be willing to talk to lots of people. But I think you've got to go get to know people. They have to know that you're out there. You've got to go seek new information, be a student of the game, go work different camps, go expand your horizons. I think a lot of times we want to just say, I have a job, I'm going to do a great job at this job and good things will happen. And sometimes that happens. But I think that we have to really pursue coaching. So if there's a certain position you want, or if you want to become a head coach and you're trying to figure out how to move from assistant coach into head coach, I think you have to pursue what you want. And just sitting in your job, only doing what you know how to do isn't really the way to grow and to get better. I think you have to stretch yourself. I think you have to coach different positions, try new things, just spread your horizons. And at that point, I do think good things happen. And I think that when you are looking for growth, then growth happens.
That's wonderful advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Tennessee Volunteers softball program at?
You're calling me out right now. I think our Twitter handle is Vol Softball. Unfortunately, I do not have that memorized. We're easy to find though. If you just search Vol Softball on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you're going to find it. Most of my handles are M Rhodes Smith. And I'm a retweeting Jesse when it comes to Vol Softball. So if you miss something from Vol Softball, you can find it on my page also.
That's wonderful. Thank you again, Megan, for your interview, and best of luck in this upcoming season.
Thank you. Have a great spring.
You too. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Megan, for your interview, and best of luck.
Yes. See you later.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.